Hello, welcome to Yin Yoga with Kahlia. Good morning or possibly evening, depending on when you are watching this. Thank you so much for joining me today. We're going to work through a gentle yin practice. We're going to start out a little bit different than I normally do. So we're actually going to start up standing and just do a few stretches before we get into our deeper held poses. So just a reminder or an introduction, I guess, if you've never done yin yoga or are new to yoga in general. Yin yoga is a practice where we are holding poses for longer. So typically they're held for 3 to 5 minutes. Because this is a shortened class, we do hold them a little bit shorter than that. I don't count too specifically at the minutes. I'm kind of more focusing on counting breaths, and I would encourage you to do the same. So just remembering throughout all of our poses, we're just keeping with our breath. So we're taking long, slow inhales and then letting out long, slow exhales. And if at any point you feel that you are losing your breath or maybe losing place in your practice, uncomfortable in a pose, whatever the case may be, I would just encourage you to come back to a gentler pose. Child's pose is one that we can always come back to, and I'll show you that. I'll make sure you guys all see that before we start in getting into our deeper poses. And then just join us when you can. So listen to your bodies. This is your practice. So I just want you to be very comfortable with every pose that you're getting into. So there should never be any pain or pinching or pulling or anything like that. We want to feel a stretch, but we want it to be a good stretch. And you'll know that when you feel it. You'll know what your body needs when you hit that spot where you feel like you really do need some stretching. And then as we sink deeper into the poses, gravity then kind of helps us out as well to get us to help us work on our flexibility, which is what yin yoga is really great for. So we will go ahead and get started. If you have any props handy at home, props, and by props I mean a vast variety of things. So you can grab some pillows, grab some towels, grab some blankets that you don't mind, rolling up, manipulating, so that we can help you get into a modification of a pose if needed. What we typically work into towards the end of the practice, some reclining poses. So if you have a thick blanket, or maybe even I've used a couch cushion before when I'm at home. If you have anything like that we're going to be reclining back on, that's very helpful to have at least a thick blanket, I would say, and maybe a pillow just for your comfort and to help modify. So we'll go ahead and get started. So I'd like to start by offering you guys to set an intention for this class. I have a couple personal intentions, and I'll share one of those with you. One of my very, very good friends, probably my oldest childhood friend, is currently fighting COVID right now. She just had her second kidney transplant and unfortunately caught COVID at some time during the process. So she's currently on a ventilator, and they just took her to Cleveland Clinic, where hopefully she's getting a lot better care. So my intention for this class is for her, thinking of her and her family. And if any of you could do the same, that would mean a lot to me as well. So taking a moment to set your intentions, we'll make our way onto our mat. And we will start standing today. So just get yourself in a comfortable standing position. If we have our feet about hip distance width apart, more or less, our hands at our side, we're automatically in a mountain pose or Tadasana. And that's where we're going to start today. So I'm going to invite you to inhale, sweeping our arms up. We're going to interlace our fingers, which is hard for you to see because of the camera, so I'll bend down. So I have my fingers interlaced, and then my pointer fingers are pointing up. And that's just what we're aiming for here. So standing up, we're going to start by tilting from one side to the other. So we're going to tilt towards the right first. And again, get your foot placement steady, make sure you're grounded into your mat. And then we're just going to tip to the right. This is a hard stretch. It's a difficult one. Trying to keep our hands by our ears if we can, our arms, I should say, not our hands. Just tilting to the side. Try to take a couple breaths here. Long, slow inhales. Long, slow exhale. And on our next inhale, we'll bring ourselves back up to center, and then we'll go ahead and do the same thing on the other side. So nice deep inhale here. Really, really stretch, and then we're going to tilt to the left-hand side. Another deep inhale here. Exhale, maybe sinking down a little bit further. Nice deep inhale here. Exhale. And inhale, we're going to bring ourselves back up. Very good. And then we can exhale and relax and bring our hands back to heart center. So that helps to stretch a lot of our muscles that I'm sure you felt on our sides. Some of those muscles go a little bit neglected sometimes, so it's good to get those warmed up. So a couple more things we'll do while we're standing. We're gonna just kind of warm up our arms and shoulders a little bit. So the first thing we're gonna do is take our left arm and bring it across our chest. And then we're gonna bring our right arm across our chest this way, just kind of give ourselves a big hug. And as we give ourselves a big hug, we're just gonna kind of turn back and forth. Again, really kind of stretching out those shoulder muscles, stretching out our arms. And we're just gonna do this a few times. Go at your own pace. Stretching out our lower back as well. All right, we'll take one deep inhale here. And exhale, you can let it out. All right, so a couple more, and then we'll bring it down to the mat. So this one I'm going to turn to the side so that you can see. This is a little bit advanced, of an advanced stretch, but I kind of want to show you anyway because it is a really great, not only stretch for our shoulders, our shoulder blades, our arms, but it's also a really great chest opener, heart opening stretch as well. So we're going to start with our left hand, and our left hand is going to come behind us. I'll turn around this way. So the back of our hand is against our back, and our palm is facing out. And we're going to raise our right arm up and bring it down and try to touch our fingertips if we can. If you can, then we can maybe go a little bit further and interlace our fingertips. Now, if that's not within your practice today, and your arm maybe goes a little bit more like this, you can always grab a strap, a string, a belt, and hold on to those with both hands so that you're still getting that same motion. You can picture holding on to a belt. We're still getting that same stretch, but working towards bringing our fingertips together. And so then everything we do on one side, we have to do on the other, right? So then we'll do it on the right hand side. So bringing our right arm out, bringing it around the back. You can see it's pretty much right between my shoulder blades here. Bringing our left arm up and over and aiming to touch those fingers. And if we can, kind of curl them together. Just take one nice deep breath here. And then exhale. Try to take you one more breath. And then we'll exhale and bring it all back down. Very good. So we might want to shake out our shoulders a little bit, roll them back and forth. We want to roll our shoulders up to our ears, back down our spine, kind of making sure those shoulder blades are in alignment. And then we're going to bring it down to the mat. And I may have to adjust, I think, my camera a little bit because we really won't be standing too much more. So coming down to the mat, I will invite you to join me in whatever seated position you choose. I'm in just a basic cross-leg position right now. If you'd like to come into lotus, I'll show you how to get into that. I don't think we've done lotus in many of our other yin practices, but I do want to introduce that to you. So starting in a cross-leg position, my right leg is underneath. Now you may automatically get into it opposite, so just keep that in mind. So my right foot is going to come over my left leg, and I'm now in half lotus. So you can see my one foot is on top, my one foot is on bottom, and this is half lotus pose. This is a perfectly good pose to stay in. If this is comfortable for you, I invite you to stay here. If you want to take it a little bit farther and feel a little bit more of a stretch, we can bring our left leg up, and then we're in what I call pretzel pose when I teach yoga to some of the younger kids. We have both feet on top, and we're kind of, our legs look kind of like a soft pretzel is how I like to explain it. Okay, so once you're in our easy seated pose of your choosing, remember listening to your bodies, listening to what's within your practice today. I invite you to look down towards your mat or close your eyes, and we're just going to get started with some breath. So taking very long, slow inhales, and then letting out long, slow exhales. And we'll just do this a couple times, just to kind of slow down our breathing, slow down our bodies, getting ourselves ready for a slower and more relaxing practice. We'll do one more breath. Try if you can, when you inhale, to hold it at the top for maybe a count of 3. So inhale, and then exhale. And if you're new to breath work, that's a great practice. It's called triangle breathing. So typically we would inhale for like a count of 4, hold for a count of 3 or 4, and then exhale for a count of 4. So that's just kind of a little introduction for that. That's called triangle breathing, and very, very helpful if we're ever having periods of stress or anxiety, or where we know that we really just need to take a moment and calm down. That's a great breath to come back to. All right, so we are going to go ahead and work into our first position. So we're going to untangle our legs if we're in pretzel, and we're going to bring the soles of our feet together. So the soles of our feet are together, but we're going to open them up a little bit, kind of like this, like the pages of a book, like we're opening a book. And we are now in Baddha Konasana, or bound angle pose. Now, if this is too intense of a stretch for you, you can always scoot your bottom back, decreasing that angle, and that's going to decrease the amount of stretch in your legs there. If it's not enough of a stretch, you can scoot closer to your legs, and that's going to stretch out your legs a little bit more. If you need some support, by all means, you can place some pillows or rolled up towels or blankets underneath your legs, whatever makes you feel comfortable. So I'm going to turn this way so that when I forward fold, I'm holding onto my mat, but hopefully you guys can still see what I'm doing. So we're sitting up nice and straight and tall, in our minds, imagining that imaginary string that's just pulling our spines up to the ceiling, so that we're nice and straight and tall, our chests are open. We're going to inhale, sweeping our arms above, looking up to our fingers if we can, and then exhale, we're going to very slowly and carefully walk ourselves over our Baddha Konasana, so folding over Baddha Konasana. Now, if you come to your forearms, and this is a good stopping point for you, you're more than welcome to stay here. We'll be here for a few moments. If you can walk your arms a little bit further and are able to place your head on your mat, you're more than welcome to stay there. If you do have a block or a pillow or maybe even a few books with a blanket laid over that you'd like to rest your head on that makes it more comfortable, please feel free to go grab those and utilize those to make yourself as comfortable as possible. So we'll be in this pose for a couple moments, and I just want to encourage you to remember to keep with your breath. So long, slow inhales, long, slow exhales. If you want to practice that triangle breathing during these poses, that's completely up to you. So again, walking down, getting into our comfortable spot, and we'll be here for a few moments. Remember, taking long, slow inhales, long, slow exhales. Trying, if we can, to let our thoughts come and go, meaning if a thought comes into your mind, especially if it's a troubling one or a worrying one, recognize it and then let it go. Long, slow inhale in, breathing out all of that tension we may be holding within ourselves. We're about halfway through this pose. About 10 more breaths here. About 3 more breaths. Last deep inhale here. And our exhale, we're going to very slowly and carefully start to bring ourselves back up to center, back up to neutral. We can go ahead and stretch out our legs, shake out our legs, be careful getting up. Some people get a little bit dizzy after being in that forward fold position like that. All right, so our next pose is going to be wide leg straddle fold. So we're going to bring one leg out to one side, typically kind of diagonally. I try to aim for kind of the corners of my mat if possible. Again, this is a position where if you need your stretch to be a little bit less, go ahead and scoot your bottom back. That's going to decrease the angle of your legs. If you want a little bit deeper stretch, you can move your bottom forward, and that's going to increase the angle of your legs, which is going to increase the stretch, especially in your inner kind of inner thigh muscles there. So we're going to lean first. We're going to forward fold first to one side, then the other. And then we're going to fold towards the middle. So we'll be in this position a little bit. And if you need to, we'll take a moment between poses to kind of shake out our legs and do a little bit of counter stretching. So, so get situated first in this position. Make sure you're comfortable sitting up nice and straight and tall. You might want to take a moment to roll those shoulders up and back. And when you're ready, we're going to sweep our arms up above, looking up towards our fingertips if possible. We're going to turn towards the right slightly and then forward fold over that extended leg. Now your arms may come to your shin. You may be able to grab onto your ankle. You may be able to grab onto your toes or a toe, or you may choose to keep your hands on the sides of your legs and just kind of bring your head down towards your knee. So all of those are perfectly good, perfectly okay. Just listening to your body today. And remembering that we want to feel a good stretch. We don't want to feel any pain or pinching or pulling. So when you're comfortable, we're going to settle into this pose, remembering to keep with your breath. So starting with a nice deep inhale, long slow exhale, and then just getting settled in this pose where you're comfortable. We'll be here for a couple moments. Nice deep inhales. Long, slow exhales. We're about halfway down on this side. About 5 more breaths. One last deep inhale here. And exhaling, we're going to very slowly and carefully start to bring ourselves back to center. And I invite you to bring your legs together now, and we can kind of shake them out together. And then you can bend your knees and do what we call windshield wipers. We just kind of tip our hips from side to side. This kind of helps to counteract that stretching that we did on that side. And then we'll get back into our wide leg pose. And then we're going to work on the other side next. So same thing we did on that on our right side, we're going to do on the left. So inhale, sweeping those arms up to the sky, really stretching, looking up at our fingertips. Nice deep inhale here. Turning to the left, exhaling, we're going to fold over that left leg. Again, coming to our shin, our ankle, our toes, resting our hands on our mat or any props that we may have. All are perfectly okay and whatever is within your practice today. So taking a long, slow inhale here. Long, slow exhale. Settling into this pose. Keeping with our breath. We're about halfway through this side. Five more breaths here. Last deep inhale here. exhale, slowly and carefully bringing ourselves back up to center. Go ahead and bring those legs together. Shake them out, moving our knees up and down. Bringing our legs in, we can bend our knees. And then windshield wiper our legs back and forth, counteracting that stretch. And then we're going to work into wide leg straddle with folding in the middle. So bringing our legs out to the side one more time. Take a moment to get situated. And we're going to do the same thing, but we're going to forward fold over into the middle. So you may want to grab some blankets, some pillows, cushions, anything that's going to make you comfortable. And you can even stack them up so that you can kind of rest your head on either side on those blankets or pillows. So I don't have any blankets or pillows here with me today, so you'll have to just imagine my blankets and pillows. And if you don't need them, that's fine. That's just another modification that makes it a little bit easier for some people to hold this, to get into this pose and to hold this pose. So once again, we're going to sit up nice and straight and tall. We're going to inhale, sweeping our arms up to the sky, really, really stretching, looking up at our fingertips, and then forward folding in front of us. And we might come to our forearms. We might be able to stretch our arms out a little bit further than that. Remember to keep with your breath, taking long, slow inhales, letting out long, slow exhales while we're in this pose. So make sure you're comfortable. Long, slow inhale. Long, slow exhale. We're about halfway done in this stretch. About 5 more breaths here. Last deep inhale here. And exhale, slowly and carefully bring ourselves back up to center. Go ahead and bring those legs together. Really give them a nice shake out, bouncing our knees up and down. We can go ahead and bend our knees, bring our hands a little bit behind us, and windshield wipering back and forth. Just really giving a counter stretch to all that stretching that we did on our inner thighs there. All right, so when you are ready, we're going to work into a reclining pose. Actually, I'm going to show you one pose that we haven't done before we work into a reclining pose. So this is a crouching pose. So it's not really standing, not really sitting, but we're getting into kind of a crouching pose. So we want to bring our legs a little bit more than hips distance width apart. If we can press against our knees with our elbows and bring our hands to heart center. This brings us into our crouching pose. And then what we can do here to stretch is we can bring our right arm down to the ground. We can reach our left arm way up, looking up towards our left fingers and reaching up towards the sky. Almost a diagonal type stretch. So we want to just take 1 or 2 deep breaths here. And exhale, coming back to center. We'll do the same thing on the other side. So bringing that left arm down, reaching the right arm up. Nice deep stretch. Inhale here. One more inhale. And exhale, coming back to center. That's one of my favorite poses to come back to. Another great stress relieving pose. And then we can just carefully lower our bottoms down to the ground and get started on our reclining pose. So I'd like everyone to come into Baddha Konasana again, because we're going to work into reclining Baddha Konasana. So you'll want to be pretty much at the end of your mat, depending on how tall you are. And this is where a cushion or a blanket, like I mentioned before, will come in handy, because if it's within your practice, what I would recommend to do is take that cushion or blanket and set it behind you, because we're going to be reclining back. So that way you'll have something to recline back onto. And if you're very tall and you know that you're going to go over your blanket or over your mat or whatever prop you have, you can also grab a pillow so that our necks are supported too. Now I'm pretty short, so I probably won't even reach the end of my mat. So we first get into Baddha Konasana, just like we did earlier in our practice. And reclining Baddha Konasana is just that. We're going to slowly and carefully walk ourselves back. Now, this is as far as we get. That's perfectly fine. I just want you to make sure that our necks are in alignment. So you want to just make sure that we're looking straight ahead. We don't want to have our necks leaning back or crunched forward in any kind of awkward position. And if that feels okay for you, I invite you to come all the way down to the mat, which hopefully you can still see me. I invite you to place one hand on your belly and one hand on your heart. And we'll stay here for a few moments. And as we're breathing, try to notice the difference with our breath, while we're reclining. Notice how our breath changes in this pose. That's why I like to have a hand on our belly and a hand on our heart, just so we can kind of notice the difference in our breath. So still taking long, slow inhales. We can kind of feel our belly rise, and then long, slow exhales. We feel the air going out. So just breathing at your own pace. We'll stay here for a few moments. We're about halfway through this pose. Long, slow inhale. Long, slow exhale. 5 more breaths here. One last deep inhale here. Try to hold it at the top. And exhale. All right, now before coming up, we're gonna bring our knees together. We're gonna bring our knees into our chest, just kind of rocking ourselves back and forth. And then we're gonna keep our legs straight out in front of us and work into a couple lying down poses. I'm going to move my camera slightly to make sure that you guys can see me okay. All right, so we're gonna make sure we have room on our mat. We're gonna be in a fully reclined position here. We're gonna bend our left knee and bring it into our chest, kind of interlacing our fingers, bringing them below our knee, and then kind of pulling our leg into our chest. And we can rock back and forth a little bit to help us opening up those hip flexors. And then when you're ready, we're gonna hold on to the leg with our right hand. Our left arm is gonna come out to the side, and then our right leg is gonna help our leg over to the right. And then when we're ready, we're gonna turn our head towards the left so that we have a full body side stretch here. And we'll hold this for just a few breaths. One more nice deep breath here. And exhale, bringing it all back to center. Go ahead and bring your right leg in. Rock out your back again. Really give those knees a hug. If you want to wrap your arms around more, you can bring opposite hands to opposite elbows, rocking back and forth. And we're going to keep our right leg in this time and stretch our left leg out. So we're holding onto our right leg. Go ahead and swivel back and forth a little bit to help open up those hip flexors. This time our right arm comes out to the side. Our left arm is going to help our right leg over, and then we're going to turn our gaze over our right fingertip. And again, we'll just hold this for a couple breaths. One last deep inhale here. And exhale, again, coming back to center, bringing our legs in, opposite hands, opposite elbows, if that's in your practice, rolling out our back. And then we're gonna stretch out our legs and get ready for Shavasana, or our final resting pose. So for Shavasana, we wanna have our legs straight up in front and just let those feet fall toward the side. Just totally relax them, let them just kind of splay out. Our arms are gonna be at our sides, their palms facing up. Checking in with those shoulder blades, making sure our shoulder blades are flat on our mat. And we want our gaze, if our eyes are open, we want our gaze to be pretty much straight up at the ceiling so that our necks are in alignment. And we're just going to start to imagine our entire body relaxing, starting with the very top of our head, working down our face, working down our neck, our chest, our arms, just imagining almost like a trickling wave of warm relaxation washing over us. Slowing down our breath, taking this time to thank our body for all it's done for us in our practice today, and giving it a chance to rest, recuperate, and reap all those benefits of the movement that we've just done. So while you are in Shavasana, I'm going to read to you guys a guided meditation. So give me one moment to pull that up. And you guys don't need to see me for this part. Please stay in Shavasana. I'm sitting up just so that I can read to you a guided meditation script. And all that I want you to do is lie in Shavasana and close your eyes. All right, so this is a guided meditation surrounding gratitude. So we're going to begin in our Shavasana position, closing our eyes, slowing down our breath, feeling each and every muscle in our body relaxing, feeling grounded into our mat or our bed or our blanket or whatever we've chosen to practice on today. We're starting to pay attention to our breath by taking mindful breaths in through our nose and out through our mouth. We can practice our triangle breathing here by breathing in for a count of 4, holding it at the top for 3 or 4 breaths, and then counting as we exhale for a count of 4. Try to make this a routine as we're listening to this guided meditation. Start to think about how lucky you are. Start to think about some things that you're grateful for. Take a moment to name in your mind at least 3 things that you're grateful for. As you inhale, send extra gratitude to these things. If your mind starts to wander to other things, recognize those thoughts and then let them go. Simply be an observer of your thoughts and do not judge them. Then bring your attention back to your breath and the things that you're grateful for. Keep breathing. Breathing in for 4 counts, holding it for 3 or 4 counts, and then letting that go. 1, 2, 3, 4. All you need to do right now is breathe and drench yourself in gratitude. Notice what you feel. Do you feel happier? Do you feel lighter? Do you feel some of the weight that you may have carried throughout this week slowly drifting away? Continue breathing. As you exhale, imagine that you're ridding yourself of all self-doubt at any roadblocks in the way of your progress, success, or happiness in life. Visualize all these details as you continue to breathe. When you're ready, we can slowly start to invite life back into our bodies. And we can start by wiggling our fingers and wiggling our toes. And I'm going to lay back down so that I can show you how I typically get out of Shavasana. So start by wiggling those fingers, wiggling those toes, bringing ourselves back to the room. We might want to do some wrist circles, some ankle circles. And then interlacing our fingers, we're going to bring our arms over our head for what I call our early morning stretch, regardless of what time of day it is. It's our early morning stretch. We're going to take a nice deep inhale here. Really, really stretch from the tips of your toes to the tips of your fingers. And then exhale and relax. Now we're going to bend our knees. Our left arm is going to stay up because it's going to act as a little pillow as we turn onto our left-hand side. And we're going to stay in this recovery pose for just a couple breaths. So we have our knees bent. We're using our left arm as a pillow, and then our right arm is here, just kind of at our side, and it's going to help us when we come into our seated position. So just take a breath or two here. And then when you're ready, go ahead and use that right arm to gently help yourself back up to sitting, where we'll meet again on our mats. And again, you can choose whatever seated position you'd like. You can come into cross-legged position. You can come into half lotus. We can try to come into full lotus if that's within our practice. And we can either rest our hands on our knees, we can bring our hands to heart center. But I'd like to thank each and every one of you for choosing to get on the mat and practice with me today. The light in me honors and respects the light in each and every one of you. And I hope that you gained something from this practice today. Namaste. Thank you all so much. I hope you enjoyed our yin practice today. We did incorporate a couple new things that aren't typically yin poses, but I think also work well with the yin practice. So hopefully you enjoyed those and learned a few new things. And I hope to see you again at our next practice. So I hope everyone has a wonderful day, and I will see you again very soon. Bye-bye.